A wheezing breath echoed through the room. Sir Rolf was going to die tonight if Ellie didn't manage to save him in time. The castle staff would lose a good man and friend, and she would lose her chance to win over his brother, Sir Lawrence, whose support would come with a lot of perks. Sir Rolf tried to look at his injury, but Ellie pushed him back down. "Stay down. Your wound is infected, and if we don't get that arrowhead out soon, you will need amputation, which could lead to death." Sir Rolf groaned. Ellie looked back up at him and remembered how important it was to keep the patient's spirits up. She reached out and took his hand. Then she leaned in and looked him in the eyes. "You're going to get through this, okay? You're a strong man, and there's no reason for this to fail. Plus, you have me. I'm a great healer." Rolf looked back at her and felt more confident. "Thank you, my angel." Ellie placed several bright lamps around the wound and got to work. "I'm going to give you an anesthetic I made. It's going to numb your left thigh, and then I'll have to get the arrowhead out. If you see anything, don't scream. Do you understand?" Rolf nodded painfully. She pulled out the anesthetic she had created and began to dab it around his leg. Then she took the scalpel and pressed it against the area. "Do you feel anything?" Rolf shook his head. Ellie sighed in relief. The anesthetic was working as she hoped it would. She fished some more tools out of her basket. She had asked Florence to stick a pair of clean leather gloves in it. She found these and pulled them on to avoid passing on any germs. She then took out her scalpel and forceps that Florence had gotten made earlier in the day. Ellie was excited to try them out. She looked for the wound and found a small gaping hole where the arrow had gone through. There was some infected flesh here that Ellie cut off quickly. This is what was causing Rolf to weaken significantly over time. She applied antiseptic to the area, packed it with cloth, and wrapped it up. Ellie pressed around the thigh and at one point felt something sharp underneath the layers of skin, not too far from the original wound. Rolf tried to look at it, but Ellie pushed him down again. Ellie smiled. "The good news is that I've found it. Sometimes small metal objects can get lodged much deeper and you need special equipment to find them again." Special equipment? Ellie couldn't exactly tell Rolf that she was from a time when they had things like CT scanners to help them treat patients, but Rolf was also delirious, so she just explained. "Like seeing eyeglasses." Rolf nodded, understanding. Ellie realized that the royal witch doctor had given up on Rolf simply because he didn't want to dig around for the arrowhead. Ellie shook her head at their lack of knowledge. She pressed on the arrowhead and felt some barbs on it. If she didn't get the metal out in a precise way, it would rupture arteries and cause internal bleeding. This would be tricky, but Ellie had seen surgeons at work. Ellie quickly cut his flesh right above the arrowhead and saw a glint of metal inside. She used her forceps and slowly removed the arrowhead. Sweat beaded on her brow, but her hand didn't waver. She finally stood up. Rolf looked up at her with amazement. "Hold out your hand," she said. He held out his hand and she dropped the arrowhead in his palm. He looked astonished. "That was inside me." "That was inside you." After pulling out the metal, Ellie checked the area again and found no other foreign objects. She had also asked Florence to pack a needle and thread. She placed the needle on a fire to disinfect it before using it. She was careful to follow her nurse training right down to the last letter. She then applied antiseptic around the area and began to sew up the wound. She smiled at him. "We're almost done." Just then, a voice came from outside. "What are you doing here, brat?" "Sir Lawrence, I came here to see your brother, but he's asleep right now," Florence shouted. She spoke loud enough so that Ellie could hear her from inside. A shiver went down Ellie's spine. She moved faster. She was running out of time. If Sir Lawrence caught her here, he would surely tell the prince. She wrapped Rolf's thigh up with some clean cloth. "Move aside, girl," Sir Lawrence barked from outside. "But he's asleep. He doesn't want to be disturbed," Florence squeaked out loud. Ellie wrapped up all her tools. "I have to go, Sir Rolf." "Sir Rolf?" She got no reply. Rolf had fainted again. He had lost a lot of blood, so it was normal for him to be unconscious, but Ellie wanted to make sure he was still okay. A voice echoed from outside. "I said move over!" Ellie made a hasty decision. Her patient care came first. She checked Sir Rolf's pulse and found that he was still stable. She breathed a sigh of relief, but just then, the door banged open. Sir Lawrence pushed through with a group of guards. As soon as he was inside, he saw Ellie and her basket. His eyes were filled with fear. "Princess, what are you doing to my brother?" Ellie was stubborn. "I saved him." "Search her basket." A guard ripped the basket from Ellie and dumped the contents on the bed. The scalpel caught the light. Sir Lawrence reached over and picked it up. He examined it, and upon touching the edge found it to be extremely sharp. Blood dripped from his finger. He looked up at Ellie with wild eyes. "You were about to stab my brother with a knife." Ellie was now annoyed. "You've misunderstood completely." She hadn't expected to get caught. If she hadn't stopped to check Rolf's pulse, she would already have been on her way back to the safety of her own room. Sir Lawrence was angry. "The prince asked me to whip you, so you wanted to take revenge on my brother. You vicious woman. If anything happens to my brother, I will not let this go. Guards!" 2 guards closed in on Ellie and held her down. She wished she had just escaped. She decided to play it safe. "Just check him. I haven't done anything to him." Sir Lawrence rushed over to his brother and lifted the blanket. He checked Rolf's body from head to toe, but found no signs of a cut. "What did you do then?" "I told you, I saved him," Ellie repeated, frustrated. Sir Lawrence was panicking. "You performed some magic on him to kill him faster. You're a witch. We all know that. What did you do? Tell me." Ellie knew she couldn't get out of this by telling the truth. They would never believe it. She also didn't want to reveal her plans to save Sir Rolf to get Sir Lawrence on her side. They would think she was just doing it for ulterior motives. So she decided to lie. "Yes, I performed some magic on him, but you have to understand, it was to save him, not to hurt him." Sir Lawrence screamed back at her. "Then why does he look dead?" Ellie needed Lawrence to calm himself. "Sir Lawrence, calm yourself. You are a knight of Prince James's guard. Check his breath. He's fine. He will make a quick recovery." Sir Lawrence checked for Rolf's breath by putting a hand in front of his nose. Ellie continued, "In fact, you will find his breathing is more stable than before, is it not?" Sir Lawrence stood still and looked down at his brother. "Indeed, he seems more at peace, and he is not groaning like he was before." "You see? I treated him." Doubt filled Sir Lawrence's eyes. He wasn't sure what to believe. He had convinced himself that the princess was evil because that is what the prince always told him. But maybe she had actually saved his brother. Sir Lawrence was about to tell Ellie that she was free to go when... "What is going on here?" Another voice boomed from outside. It was Prince James.